Now, people say that I can't get you more than $100 a night for a room legally. But if I turn that room into a private dining section for private dining, and on average you have somebody coming in there every hour spending $100 on food, even $50 on food, you're making a lot of money off of that room just off of your private dining section, because somebody else doesn't like the other environment. So we offer other environments, specialized like deprivation tanks that aren't really deprivation tanks to scare you, but to provide a pure sense of comfort and to drown you out of all the other noise and stuff like that. And it's basically a motel room that you turn into a deprivation tank if they want to dine in it. But if it wants to be rented out, you could rent it out too. That's why I said we suggest building a certain amount of barracks where you have, you know how you have in like a school gymnasium where you pull the bleachers out and then all the bleachers fold out like that? It's almost the sense of that, except in the middle there's a stage that comes up and there's people that can sleep inside those boxes. And we could have different sized boxes because we got, 6 foot tall people down to 5 foot tall people down to 4 foot tall people down to like babies. And each of those little sections that stand on top of each other, creating one big area in a 10 by foot room, we could fold all that up and be out of the place. But we could also cycle through and use each one of those beds on 8-hour basis of 3 and 3 and 3. That would be the barracks, the ones that like to live in a military basis. I don't usually mind living in a military basis. That gets me up and moving and out of my depression. It gives me something that I feel credible for. And a lot of people have been discredited for their stuff because their PTSD, and their PTSD is just, that is pure energy and strength to just gain vengeance upon somebody that's a true enemy. And you deny them of their anatomy of life, because the anatomy of life is you have a grieving process. And when you deny them of continuing with that grieving process, you leave them in a state of anger. You leave them in a state of PTSD. You need to let them get through that anger and express that anger for them to be able to get into acceptance. Once you deny them to be angry, they can never reach acceptance. So therefore, you clinically make people insane because of the way that you are controlling somebody's life and the way that they control their emotions, when we have a freedom of speech. And that freedom of speech is a freedom of emotion. And whether we have that emotion in our speech, what we say is depicted by our emotion. If I say, hey, fuck you, man, fuck you, it's the emotion in what I said.